And welcome to another recruiting talk. This time we were talking about tight end Cal Huish out of Eagle, Idaho. He is a 6'5", 225-pound tight end who committed to Idaho a little mid-November and was offered as a preferred walk-on spot. So yeah, Patrick, what are your thoughts on Cal Huish?
Yeah, he's another one of those guys. Like I was saying in the last video, he's one of those frames with ball skills that Eck is bringing in here. Uh, he's 6'5", 225 listed on what I have written down. I'm not sure if that's the same as what the signing day document has, but he's a tall guy, big frame that can go make catches outside of his frame, which is something you look for in a tight end. You don't want a guy that's always body catching it. You want him to go get it with his hands. He has consistent hands, and he looks to be a really solid athlete. Just some really good speed for a 6'5" tight end. Typically, those guys aren't nearly as fast as he is. He can get moving. Um, he has some decent agility, and he's not like the crispiest route runner in the world, but he always finds that open spot in like zone coverage to sit down for his quarterback, and that's a great quality to have for a tight end that can kind of feel the little soft spot in the zone, sit down and give his quarterback a chance to fit it between a couple guys. He can go catch a bad pass too. His quarterback in high school didn't like eye pop me, and so he had a couple. Excuse me, a couple of like
Made
balls
his
that were.
quarterback look a little better than he
Yeah,
might be. No offense to whoever his quarterback
yeah.
is.
Well, he had like a couple, balls that go to his shoes or balls that are way behind him, and he just turns around and snags it. And it's a good quality to have because in college usually you're gonna get a better pass most times than not. Um, and unlike like the last tight end guy we had, he has a lot more blocking film. Um, he looked overall like a really solid blocker. He can drive a dude back if he has to. He's not the most dominant tight end blocker, but he looks to be a solid blocker, and he's one of those guys that he needs to add a little size. Coming in at 225 pounds to play tight end under Eck, you're typically trying to get up around that 240, 250 range to be a better blocker overall. And I think once he gets his weight up a little bit, he's going to be a really solid blocker because he has the fundamentals of being a blocking tight end down, and he has the ball skills to go get one too. Um, I think he's one of those guys that's going to develop into a really solid tight end.
I 100% agree. Kind of watching his film, I noticed he kind of had some great double team blocks with another signing that Idaho had in Leon Evans. He nothing. I he does just have the kind of the more ready to play tight end skill set you see in the X signing in the X tight ends. Maybe it's because of how loaded the tight end class. We might not see Cal Huish right away, but he is one that I think could play earlier in his career than maybe some of us might be thinking.
No, agreed. And I think the only reason I didn't kind of say that same thing about Cal is just because there's a lot of tight ends on the depth chart ahead of him, and there's some guys in this class that are studs. So I not saying he's not going to be a good player, but there's a lot of guys I think that are going to end up being in front of him in the depth chart. But Cal, he's got the potential to develop into a really steady, solid, consistent tight end for the Vandals.
Oh yes, 100% agree. Patrick, anything else before we? Anything else you want to say about Cal before we move on to our next signing?
No, I think we're good.
Guess the other thing I forgot to mention: Tubs with Clubs as always is brought to you by Hughes River Expedition and Snake River Stampede Whiskey. Yeah, and we're gonna be moving on to our next signing now. Go Vandals!